Welcome back to Revenue RX, the podcast at the intersection of pharmacy and finance. I'm your host, Lubna Mazen. When people hear the term revenue cycle, they often think billing. But revenue cycle isn't just billing. It's a complex ecosystem of teams working together to ensure that the care provided to patients is accurately documented, appropriately coded, correctly billed, successfully reimbursed, and compliant with regulatory requirements. One of the biggest mistakes organizations make is assuming revenue cycle belongs to a single department. In reality, every dollar collected depends on collaboration across pharmacy, finance, revenue integrity, coding, patient financial services, managed care, contracting, compliance, and many others. Think of revenue cycle like a relay race. A claim passes through many hands before reimbursement is received. If one team drops the baton, everyone feels the impact. The challenge is that many teams only see their portion of the process. Pharmacy sees medication purchasing and dispensing. Nursing sees the medication administration. Coding sees the documentation. Finance sees the revenue. Patient financial services sees the denials. Managed care sees the payer relationships. Organizations that perform best understand how all of these functions connect. Today, we're breaking down who's doing what and why understanding the entire ecosystem is critical for pharmacy leaders. Before medication is purchased, dispensed, administered, coded, or billed, managed care and contracting have already influenced reimbursement. Managed care, payer relations, or contracting are many different names for this team. This team focuses on the relationship with the payers. Their responsibility includes payer strategy, payer contracting, network participation, authorization requirements, reimbursement methodology, policy interpretation, escalation of payer issues, payment methodology review, contract performance monitoring, and renewal strategy. Managed care helps organizations understand how payers intend to reimburse for services. When a payer changes a policy affecting infused medications, specialty drugs, biosimilar, or site of care requirements, managed care is often the first team to know. Their work directly influences reimbursement performance. This team answers some of the most important questions in healthcare reimbursement. How much will we be paid? What services are covered? What requirements must be met? The best charge capture process in the world cannot overcome a poorly negotiated contract. Before the relay race begins, managed care establishes the rules of the game. Next, we have Preaccess teams. Preaccess teams represent the front line of revenue cycle. Their responsibilities often include insurance verification, benefits investigation, prior authorization, predetermination requests, financial clearance, medical necessity review, scheduling readiness, and patient financial counseling. These teams help answer a critical question. Can this service be provided and reimbursed as planned? For pharmacy services, Preaccess team often work closely with medication access specialists, patient financial coordinators, prior authorization teams, and infusion authorization teams. When they're successful, treatment proceeds without delay and reimbursement is positioned for success. When they fail, organizations may face denied claims, delayed care, write-offs, and patient dissatisfaction. One of the most expensive denials in healthcare is the denial that could have been prevented before the treatment occurred. If managed care and contracting establish the rules of the game, the Preaccess team clears us to start the race. They help ensure the baton starts in the right lane. The next team to take on the baton is pharmacy. Many people think pharmacy's role in revenue cycle begins and ends with the medication. In reality, pharmacy influences reimbursement long before a claim is submitted even before a patient is identified. Pharmacy is responsible for drug procurement, inventory management, formulary management, medication build maintenance, NDC maintenance, and biosimilar implementation. Pharmacy helps ensure medications are available, built correctly within the electronic health record, dispensed appropriately, and supported by the operational infrastructure necessary for reimbursement. If a medication isn't built correctly, downstream billing challenges often follow. One of my favorite sayings in revenue cycle is you can't bill what you don't capture. Pharmacy may not own every step of revenue cycle, but they influence many of them. The next team we have is the clinical team. Clinical teams are where patient care and revenue cycle intersect most directly. The clinical team is responsible for ordering therapies, delivering patient care, medication administration, clinical documentation, and medical necessity documentation. Providers, nurses, pharmacists, and other clinicians generate the documentation that supports reimbursement. If something isn't documented, it becomes difficult to code. If it can't be coded, it can't be billed. And if it can't be billed, reimbursement is at risk. Clinical teams aren't responsible for collecting the payments, but they create the documentation that makes payment possible. Think of clinical care as the moment where the organization earns the right to bill for the services rendered. Everything that follows depends on the quality and completeness of the medical record. The next team is revenue integrity. Revenue integrity helps ensure everything remains connected. At its core, revenue integrity serves as the bridge between clinical operations and reimbursement. Traditional revenue integrity teams often focus on charge capture validation, charge reconciliation, revenue monitoring, regulatory compliance, charge audits, revenue leakage, and charge description master management. Their role is to ensure that services provided to patients are accurately represented, appropriately charged, and supported for reimbursement. But as medications have become more complex, expensive, and operationally challenging, many organizations have recognized the need for a specialized focus in pharmacy revenue integrity. Pharmacy revenue integrity sits at the intersection of pharmacy operations, reimbursement, finance, and compliance. This team is often responsible for medication charge capture oversight, drug and administration charging workflows, HCPCS and NDC validation, chargeable medication record maintenance, modifiers including JZ, JW, JA, JB, and 340B modifiers, leakage investigation, CDM optimization, pharmacy-related denial analysis, and collaborating with coding, billing, and finance teams. Think of traditional revenue integrity as looking across the entire health system, while pharmacy revenue integrity takes a deeper dive into one of the most financially complex areas of healthcare. When a new drug launches, pharmacy revenue integrity helps ensure the medication is built correctly, charged appropriately, and supported for reimbursement. When a new HCPCS code becomes effective, pharmacy revenue integrity teams help coordinate system updates, operational workflows, and billing readiness. When reimbursement drops unexpectedly, pharmacy revenue integrity helps determine where the issue is. Is it related to coding, billing, documentation, payer policy, or operational workflow? Their mission is simple: ensure the organization gets paid appropriately, compliantly, and consistently for medications and pharmacy services they provide. Before we move on, I would be remiss if I didn't mention IT teams. While they might not be directly touching the claim, they enable nearly every handoff in revenue cycle to occur. From medication builds to charge routers to claim edits, work queues, reporting, EHR configuration, IT does it all. In many ways, if revenue cycle is a relay race, IT builds the track everyone runs on. The next team we'll take a look at is Health Information Management, or HIM. HIM is responsible for maintaining the integrity of the medical record. Their responsibilities include medical record governance, documentation standards, release of information, and regulatory requirements. HIM helps ensure documentation exists to support coding and billing. If documentation is incomplete or missing, reimbursement may be delayed or denied. Think of HIM as the guardian of the medication record. The medication record becomes the source of truth for everything that follows. Next to take on the baton is the coding teams. Coding takes clinical documentation and translates it into standardized language used by payers. Their responsibility includes ICD-10 diagnosis coding, CPT coding, HCPCS coding, modifier assignment, charge review, and coding compliance. Coders answer the question, what exactly happened during this encounter? The answer then must be translated into a code recognized by CMS and commercial payers. Accurate coding directly affects reimbursement, quality measures, quality metrics, and compliance. Without coding, payers cannot understand the story of the patient encounter. Our next team is Patient Financial Services, often called PFS. This team is where reimbursement becomes reality. Their responsibilities include claim submission, payment posting, denials management, appeals, underpayment recovery, accounts receivable management, and patient billing. PFS teams are often the closest to the payer, second to managed care. They are the first to see denial trends, they are the first to identify reimbursement issues, and they are often the last line of defense before revenue is lost. At this point in the process, most of the race has already been ran. Our next runner-up is the finance team. Finance evaluates how reimbursement impacts the organizational performance. Their responsibilities include revenue forecasting, budgeting, financial reporting, margin analysis, service line profitability, and strategic planning. Finance asks, are we achieving our financial goals? What services are profitable, and where are we losing money? Finance converts operational activity into business intelligence. Finance helps organizations understand not just what happened, but what should happen next. Every team we've discussed operates within a regulatory framework. Compliance ensures that all of these activities remain legal, ethical, and defensible. Their responsibilities include regulatory oversight, billing compliance, audit readiness, internal investigations, policy development, and education. Compliance is not there to stop innovation. Compliance is there to ensure that innovation is sustainable. Think of compliance as the referee. The goal is not simply to maximize reimbursement. The goal is to maximize compliant reimbursement. The greatest risk in our revenue cycle relay race is if teams work in silos. Pharmacy may not know a payer changed its reimbursement policy. Managed care may not realize operational workflows cannot support a new requirement. Revenue integrity may identify a charging issue that never reaches operational leadership. Coding may not know a new therapy was launched. Finance may be seeing a decline in revenue without understanding the operational cause. And PFS may identify denial trends without visibility into the root cause. When departments work independently, revenue leakage is inevitable. The highest performing organizations create formal partnerships across these teams. Successful reimbursement is rarely the result of one department doing exceptional work. It's the result of multiple departments coming together. If you're a pharmacy leader, ask yourself, do I know who manages our payer relations? Who completes the prior authorizations? Do I know who owns denials? Who updates the CDM? Who do I know that's overseeing the coding? Who manages the payer policy changes? Do I get notified of these policy changes? Who do I know in our revenue integrity team that can help me look at reimbursement? Do I know who my financial business partner is? If the answer is no to any of those questions, that is where you need to start. Revenue cycle success isn't built within pharmacy alone. It's built through relationships across the entire ecosystem of revenue cycle. Revenue cycle is often described as a process, but I think it's better described as a relay race, a team sport. And when those teams work together, organizations can improve reimbursement, reduce denials, strengthen compliance, and ultimately reinvest resources back into patient care. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Revenue RX. Healing patients is the mission, protecting the margin is the strategy. This is Revenue RX. Disclaimer. This podcast is intended for informational and educational purposes only. The views expressed are my own and do not represent those of my employer or any affiliated organizations. This content does not constitute as legal, financial, or reimbursement advice. As always, consult with your internal compliance, legal, and revenue cycle experts when making any operational or strategic decisions.